Hey everybody, how we doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you're all doing well. So welcome to day one of our new mini trading series. Going to give people a couple of minutes. Originally I planned to start at 15:15, but I'd realised that I need to do a few more things first, i.e. feed the kids. That's all good. I'll just make sure I've got my other laptop here, just making sure that you can all see me. Hi, Carl. You just let me know, Carl, that you can hear me, okay? Once I get it up on this laptop, I can keep an eye on it, but there's no lives. Oh, there we go. There we go. Make sure the volume is down. So we'll give people a couple of minutes to join. Yeah, Carl, to answer your question, this was the group that I said people could come along and recommend people to come and watch. The one that I just added you to, the one I just added you to was the Academy members one, which is this one. This is the one where the mini courses are going to be stored. Originally in here, so the Facebook Lives are going here, but I'm also recording it to be able to download it and add them to the Academy. Although, as I said, the content of these videos don't go into the depth that I will do in the Academy. So I don't think, in all honesty, that there's going to be anything that you guys haven't learned already, but I'll add them in there anyway. So this is what I was talking about. You now have access to, and congratulations on joining. This is the one where the live is, and this is the one that I said that people could come along and join. Okay. Let's just see how we're doing. Hey Jürgen, how are we doing? Hi Mark, thanks for tuning in. So we'll give people a couple of minutes because I am a bit late as well. So we'll just overrun a little bit. Can I just see, I know there's only a few of you on at the moment, but the few of you that are here, are any of you either in iMarkets Live or have been in iMarkets Live and are familiar with the harmonic scanner and the web analyzer? Because I know a lot of people join me either while they're in it or have been in it and reach out for support and what have you. So, oh, okay, Carl, I didn't know that. So, I thought it was a good idea to add training for the products because I know a lot of people out there do appreciate it. So that's the plan, to teach it, to show trades. I'm new to the web analyzer. I must admit I've used it before, but because it's scalping, I'm not a scalper. The 5-minute chart just goes so quick. But the principle is exactly the same. And it works, We'll have a look at the end of it. After we've gone through some of the content, we'll have a look and we'll see what we can find on here. But I'm not going to make these lessons massively long. I'm going to keep them relatively short, sort of like 20 minutes, half an hour. So you don't need to find too much time to try and watch them. Because otherwise you think, oh, I haven't got time to watch that. And then before you know it, you don't get to watch it. So the first one is this evening. The next one, I don't know, maybe tomorrow, it may be Saturday. We'll see. But Saturdays are the days that I do the video analysis on all the pairs. So maybe I'll do one more tomorrow. We'll see. But there'll be 5 to 7 different videos anyway. So there's lots to come over the coming days. Okay. Well, I think that's probably good enough to start. I know people will be dropping in as we go. See if I can move my mug out of the way. So one of the main important things to learn, and probably one of the things that most people do learn from the beginning, but always struggle with, is, hello Olivia, is support and resistance. And there's several ways that you can draw it, and I thought we will just cover a few of the initial ones today and try and get you confident doing it. Because if you haven't got the basics of support and resistance down, then you're pretty much gambling, really. It's not that difficult. I'm just going to change the charts. It's not that difficult to do, but you do need to make sure that you do it correctly. Otherwise, like I say, it can be difficult. You do make things harder for yourself. So let's just clear this. Keeping an eye on my laptop here for questions. Okay. So what we're looking for is I usually start on the daily. Sometimes I'll go and look at the weekly. Because it's amazing what you'll find on the weekly that you don't see on the daily. Quite a different picture, in actual fact. So when you look at the weekly, okay, we've got, what we're doing is we're looking for areas where the market has tried to break through or has touched with the wick and then rejected and moved away again. So you can see immediately, if we use our horizontal line tool, that here would be a good place. We've got our wicks touching here. We've got other areas here, for example. So it's tried to break through or at least touched it at the bottom, which is known as resistance. Right. Can't see that, can you? Just move that down. So here it's acting as resistance, like a ceiling. So it's like throwing a ball up at the ceiling and it keeps bouncing off. You can't see me at all now, can you? And it keeps bouncing off. Okay. So imagine this as the ceiling in your front room, and you throw a ball up and it keeps bouncing off. Here, when the market has broken through this ceiling and then has come down and tested here, it's like a floor. So it's like throwing the ball on the floor. It hits the floor and it bounces back up. Hits the floor and bounces back up. So now it's testing it as a floor. And my arrows. There. Okay, so what we're looking for is major areas, this is on the weekly, where price or where the candles have tried to break through or have touched and then rejected away. Now you can see this is a very busy area here, okay? So it's not, although this line drawn is probably fairly accurate, you know, there are candles that come just short, there are candles that go past slightly. So, you know, don't worry too much. But what we're looking for is more of a zone than a definite line. Because as you can see, you know, wicks come down at different distances. So you know, and it's not, it doesn't have to be 100% accurate. It's just an idea of potentially where the market may get stuck or may come back to. Okay. Now, I may draw mine there. Someone else may draw it, you know, down here, for example. And that's okay. We all see it differently. Hi, Roger. Hi, Hector. Thanks for tuning in, guys. So we all see it slightly differently. So don't get hung up on where you think these lines should be. Because, you know, within reason, it's down, you know, to the individual as to where they see it. So this is our floor, okay, and then our ceiling, we're looking for up here, which is an area where price, again, has tagged, has reached out and rejected, come back, and again has tried to break through and has rejected. So again, it's not one particular area, it's more of a zone. So we draw our zone. Okay, now this is on the weekly. Now if you're a scalper, if you like to use this tool, the web analyzer, this is the scalping tool. Now you can get calls on the 5-minute, the 15-minute, and the hour charts. Okay, if you want to remove them, for example, you can just have 15-minute and 1 hour, or you can just have the 5 minutes. You just untick these, but you get more 5-minute shout outs, if you like, than you would do the 15-minute and the 1 hour. Now, if you're a scalper and you trade on the 5-minute chart, you don't need to go back to the weekly time frame to find your support and resistance areas. Okay? I mean, the difference between the weekly and the 5 minutes is just enormous. So if you're a scalper, then, you know, you might go back to the 4 hour, and then the 1 hour, and then maybe the 15 minutes. Okay? Or the 1 hour, the 30 minutes, and the 15 minutes. Okay? If you're like me and you like to trade off 4 hour and 1 hour charts, then you might look at the daily and occasionally the weekly, because as I said, sometimes with the weekly you can see things that you don't quite see with the daily unless you zoom out anyway, which in effect is the same as going back to the weekly. So this is the weekly. We then go to the daily. We can then continue to look for areas where price has struggled to get through. So you could say, well, there, look, price has come up, it's tested. You know, if we draw a zone, it's tested this area, hasn't come through yet. Came all the way down, tested here, tried to come back up, but fell a bit short, and it started to come back down again. So maybe it'll come back down here, or maybe it'll push back up and test this area again. Okay, we don't know. And to be honest, we don't care either. And that, you know, that's probably for another video, but, you know, it's kind of a bit stuck here at the moment, and we don't trade when it's just what's called consolidating. So this is your ceiling. Or resistance. Okay? And then this down here is your floor or support. And some people will just trade using what's called, come on, support and resistance. Yeah, oh, come on. Why won't it move? Anyway, whatever. Some people will just trade support and resistance. And what I mean by that is they'll trade when price hits the bottom, they put in a buy. And when price reaches the top, they put in a sell. And there's nothing wrong in doing that. Okay. So what you need to do is just practice marking out your areas of support and resistance. And you can go back as far as you like and say, right, well, I see price has consolidated around there, but it looks like it might have got stuck. And if you've got the crosshair tool, this one here, you can just line it up and it gives you that dotted line to line things up with anyway. And you think, well, that looks quite good. I'm going to put a line there. And then you could say, well, another area of support could be here. So I'll put a line here. And then if I'm looking for resistance, this looks quite good. But then hold on a minute. No, it's come down here as well. So I'm going to put one there. And, oh, yeah, maybe that could be a floor as well. So I'm going to put one there. But before you know it, now you've got a chart full of lines, which is fine if you like lines. But this is your price here. There's price. So really, all I'm worried about is support and resistance, or resistance and support either side of price. So that I don't really need yet. And you know what? That I don't really need yet either. If price starts to come down here and I want a better idea, yeah, you could put that down here. That's fine. Or, you know, you could possibly draw one more for your next level up. But just don't fill your chart with support and resistance. You know, you can just have it where it surrounds price. So you're trapping price between your resistance or your ceiling and support or your floor. Now I say you're trapping, price doesn't care, you know, that you've drawn two lines on your chart, but as soon as it crosses your support and resistance, you know about it, and you know, and I'll show you how you know about it in another video, but basically you just stick alerts on. So when price crosses this area or just before this area, you get an alert on your phone or on your computer, and then you can make a judgment as to whether there's a potential trade, whether it's at the top and you're looking for a sell, or whether it's at the bottom and you're looking for a buy. So quite straightforward, really. Okay. Now, it can take a bit of getting used to, so I keep moving my face all around. It can take a bit of getting used to, and that's why I suggest, you know, you practice. You know, you can just practice drawing the support and resistance. You can start with a line first, and you can say, okay, well, you know, possibly there. And then you can get your little rectangle box and you can cover it either side, or you don't need the line at all. And you can just say, right, well, I'm just going to create this zone. And that zone will do me just fine. And bring that down here. And there's your support and resistance marked up. You go down to the daily now, though. So if you go down to like the lower time frame, like the 4 hour or the 1 hour, you got quite a big gap between your area of resistance and support. So what you can do is you can come in here and you can draw your support and resistance on the 4 hour. Because look here, now, we've got a potential area. You know, this is where price is here, right? So, yes, you could drag it all the way over here if you like, no problem. Or, no, you can just have it here. Because price doesn't go backwards. You know, so you could just drag it to where you need it. And then likewise with your area of resistance. So there's your high. You could just draw it to there. What I like to do when I go from different time frames, I'll use a different color line. It can be any color you like. So, I mean, anyone who's been following me long enough will know that orange is my daily. The 4 hour, I tend to use the purple. And then the green I use on the 1 hour. I haven't got a color for 15 minutes and 5 minutes because it's not something I've used. But as I start to do more and more on the web analyzer and the scanner, I might just use black, whatever, doesn't really matter. But then when you get down to the lower time frames, you can think, right, okay, that was drawn on the 1 hour, or that was drawn on the daily. You don't have to do it, but I find it helps. Okay? So you can get yourself a demo account and you can practice drawing support and resistance, and you can practice taking trades off your support or your floor or your resistance or ceiling up here. Now, as I said, there are different ways to draw support and resistance, and we'll go over a couple. So the other way you can draw them is with the line chart. Okay, now the line chart is fantastic. And I'll use this regularly. Hi, Andy. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Okay, so let's have a look what we've got in here. So we're on the 1 hour. Let's go back. Start the daily. Just clear some of this stuff. So this is my teaching charts, so they don't get mixed up with the Academy ones, because I mark up charts for the Academy members. And when I start going off on a rant and start teaching, I mess them all up. So I've got a section just for teaching. Right, so we're on the daily. Okay, now the difference between the line chart, as you can see, and the candles is it makes it so much easier to mark your support and resistance. Now, what you'll see is the line chart marks where the price closed. So it doesn't take into consideration the wicks, okay? So we can see now with our crosshair tool that this is an area that has been tested as a ceiling. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. I'd be happy to say that's 3. So we're looking for 3 touches. Okay. Let's look again. And if we're looking for support, we've got potentially one there. There, like I say, it doesn't have to be exact, so you would consider that. And again, if you went and looked at the candles, you quite often would have a wick that would come down here anyway. Now, price is sandwiched between our ceiling and our floor. Again, you could start marking down here if you so wish. You know, if it gives you a better understanding of potentially what might happen, you can mark up more, you know, but if you're not careful, especially when you go to the lower time frames as well, you just get a wash with orange, pink, and green lines. So, you know, it's difficult to comprehend what's going on when you've got so many. And then if you start adding trend lines to the mix as well, then, you know, you do get in a mess. Trend lines we'll cover another time. Oh, that's a very poor trend line. So basically, you're just going to get in a bit of a pickle if you draw too many. But that, in theory, is all you need to do. And the line chart is fantastic for that. Whether you're on the daily or the 1 hour, you just mark them up in exactly the same way. But remember that on the lower time frames, price moves so much quicker. So they're not going to hold. The price isn't going to respect them in the same way as it does a daily, you know, or the 4 hour or the 8 hour, for example. But, you know, there is a good place to put your resistance. And it probably comes down and tests it as support as well if we look. Yeah. So fairly straightforward. You need to just to take a bit of time to practice. Remember, they're zones. They're not, you know, definite lines. And that's all you need to worry about, really. Now, when it comes to a harmonic scanner or the web analyzer, it's exactly the same. The principle is exactly the same. So let's have a look. So USD JPY, this was called 8 minutes ago, 9 minutes ago nearly. Okay, so let's click on that. Now, I don't want any of them. So you can see with all the Brexit news, been going pretty nuts, but this is the 5 minutes, remember. So let's mark our support and resistance. You come along here, you get your horizontal line, mark it here, say, and then get your little rectangle box. And you can go here. Yeah, there's your support. Your resistance, and say there. Because you've got, you know, 2, 3, 5, you know, you've got several touches there. Now, it may just bounce between that. But look how price has come down. So price has come down, rejected our floor, come up a bit, rejected our floor again, and took off, came to our ceiling, rejected our ceiling, came down, came back up, rejected this area again, came all the way down to our floor, still hasn't broken through, and now it's heading back up again. So it's a 5-minute chart, it's going to move around a lot. But the principle would be, where are we? There. That would be where you would look for your buy. Okay. Now, you can wait for confirmation if you wish. You could say to yourself, right, well, I'm only going to get in for a buy on the web analyzer on a 5-minute chart. If I see price at the bottom, if it's a buy, which this one is, and the RSI is down here, I want the RSI down here, and I want the stochastics down here. Okay? Or you might want to use one of these other, I have no idea what all these do, all these different strategies, because I need to familiarize myself with them. Let's have a look at that one. But maybe, you know, you've been using some of these, that looks like it's the same. Oh, you've got a few more EMAs and Bollinger Bands, what have you. I definitely don't use them. Let's have a look at another one. You know, you might be using the binary strategy, who knows. So you can keep them on if you want. Oh, that's the same. Oh, that's 2 stochastics. Okay, and the volume. But my point is, I'll find one in a minute. My point is, it doesn't matter what additional indicators you use. You can use whatever you like, and then have your confirmations. So this one's got the MACD. It's got some moving averages, Bollinger Bands, etc. So you can say, right, well, I want the RSI down here. I want the stochastics crossing over at the bottom. I want divergence on the MACD, and I want my moving averages to cross, as well as, have I lost my support and resistance now? Probably through talking. You know, as well as price at the bottom of my support area. Well, that's a big checklist. But if you're happy with your checklist, that's fine. No problem. So you make up your own checklist. Yeah, my checklist is, has price at the bottom? Is it going back up? That's my checklist. That's all I need. Sometimes I'll go and have a look. Sometimes I put on, if we go here, for example, if we go back, so USD JPY, we go to the 5-minute chart. Hey Dean, hey Dean, how are we doing? Hi Andre, hi Charity. If we go to the 5-minute chart on here, you know, if you use TradingView, you can have your template set up. So you can stick your Bollinger Bands on before you place a trade. Okay? And we'll go through these in different videos. If you want to just go from your moving averages, then you can put them on. This one. Yeah, so this is different moving averages. So you use these differently. Or you could just say, well, I just want the RSI at the bottom and I don't really care about anything else. Yeah, so you can drop on and use whatever you wish, really. But remember, you know, that when you're scalping, you're only after, you know, If I was going to be a scalper, 5 pips would be my maximum. I know some people even teach 3 pips. Well, the market moves fast. They're breaking through our support now. As I said, because it's on the 5 minute chart, it doesn't respect these areas as well as the higher time frames. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, you've got half a dozen at least touches in this small area. And the more touches you get to a zone, the weaker it becomes. Okay, so we want 3 really, to really qualify it as an area of support. But the more times it gets tested, the weaker it becomes to the point where eventually price will go through. So price is going through there on our 5 minute. Maybe we'll draw a trend line. And when it comes back up, see if it respects that. But trend lines, again, will be another video on another day. So I hope that's been useful. Any questions or comments before I go? Ask now. This is not going to be left in the group. Okay. Hi, Andre. This is going in the Academy's members group. So it will go in this one. I might leave it on for half an hour or so, maybe an hour. So if you know anyone who would benefit from it, I'll leave it for an hour and then I'll remove it. So this is where it's going to go. So this is the members only. When you join the Academy, it will get dropped in here, and it will also go probably. It will be available in the My Library section as well. But in all honesty, I think the content that I'm teaching here, the mini courses, it's all covered in the Academy anyway. So for those of you who are already members, I don't think there'd be enough value in me keeping them for you, but they're going to go in there anyway, and you can watch them when you wish. Okay, so if there's no questions, then I'm going to call it an evening. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope it's been useful. I hope you've learned something. The scanner, well, when we review what we did today, we will talk about drawing your support and resistance on the scanner, but it's exactly the same. The process is exactly the same. You just take your horizontal lines and you mark potential areas of support and resistance. But in all honesty, because it's heavily based on Fibonacci, you don't really need to anyway. But that we're discussing in another video as well. All right, guys, take care. Thank you for tuning in. If you've got any questions or comments, let me know. The next video, if all goes well, will be tomorrow evening at, let's say the same time. So tomorrow evening, 7:30, London time, lesson 2. Take care, guys, and see you tomorrow. All I want is nothing more.